Hello, everybody. So this is a review for the benefit of peers, and I just wanted to go through the slides that we have talked about in class. Again, there's a lot of points that are on here that your classmates have developed, which you can look through under the PDF, which there's a Google Doc link to, but I just wanted to go through them all really quick and give you some information. So this is Willem de Kooning's Woman and Bicycle. This is Oil on Canvas, Abstract Expressionism. So this particular image we talked a lot about in class in relationship to the fact that it's really sort of objectifying. The title, Woman and Bicycle, because of the abstract nature of the painting, you don't really actually see a bicycle, and the parts of the woman that imply the woman are somewhat objectifying of women, which is one of the points that we made in class. And one of the things that you can see present inside this image is this sort of stereotypical male artist during this time period who was prone to domestic violence, that was sort of hard drinking. Your book talks a lot about that in context. So this is Robert Rauschenberg's Bed. So this comes from the chapter that talked a little bit about setting up a dichotomy between some other male artists who are rising during this period that were reacting to what the abstract expressionists were doing, and at the same time had maybe different ideas about their own sexuality. They had different ideas about this male gaze, and so they were commenting on a lot of the stuff that you see. So this is Robert Rauschenberg's Bed. Again, it has associations with bodily fluid. It's talking about taking something like Pollock did, taking the painting onto the floor and then putting it on the wall. So this is clearly mixed media, and you have associations with craft through quilting, which brings in like a feminine aspect, etc. So this is Cy Twombly, the School of Athens, and basically what I'm going to say about this is that it takes elements from the informal art movement. So there's sort of a more evisceral and psychoanalytic aspect to it, and it talks about sort of tracking. So he's thinking of Raphael's School of Athens and sort of making notes and comments, and it's about mark making and sort of the psychoanalytic side of some of those ideas. So thinking about like Jung and that kind of stuff. So this is Marcel Duchamp's Belle Hélène de Violet. And for this, just put medium unknown. And what I would say you should take from this is thinking about Duchamp and the importance of this other trajectory. So we have Clement Greenberg's trajectory, which is this idea that with Gauguin, painting becomes more abstract, becomes more about the formal elements of painting, and there begins to be a separation between the two. And this leads eventually to the abstract expressionists, and Clement Greenberg says that Jackson Pollock is the ultimate artist because what you see is the artist's mark, and that's the entirety of the painting. Duchamp marks the beginning of a different trajectory, which roots the concept of art as being the concept, right? So that's the most essential element, is the idea, and the medium is less important. Work is less important, right? So this is something that Duchamp begins, and which artists like the ones from Black Mountain College sort of take up. So they're still using formal elements of art, but they're emphasizing the importance of a different aspect. This is Jasper John's Target with Plaster Casts. There's here an interplay between the target and closable boxes with casts of body parts. So this emphasizes the idea of McCarthyism, which is going on during this time, and people who were involved in civil rights and people who were involved in or who were homosexual were during this time persecuted in association with communism through the House for Un-American Activities Committee. And so there was a persecution, a very real sort of political persecution that was happening for people who held these certain beliefs or lived certain lifestyles, that even if it wasn't that they were communist or socialist, they were singled out as persecutable. So this is the idea behind the target, that Jasper Johns is homosexual, and he is trying to make associations with what it feels like to come out, and saying that that's targeted, and it's targeted in a way that really sort of has to do with intimate body. So this is Piero Manzoni's Merda Artista, and basically this is a tin can of Manzoni's excrement, and the idea is that the product of the artist is the commodity, and that that art is more about the idea, and that this has less to do with presentation, etc. So he's mocking the commercialism of art, and mocking sort of the elevation of anything that the artist does, right? We talked about this one again a lot in class as well. So this is iBox by Robert Morris. This is in reaction to a piece that that the book talks about, but we did not talk about in class, which has sort of a voyeuristic, it's Duchamp again, and I think it's L'État d'un, I can't remember the title of it right now, and I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry. But anyway, in that one, he set up a life-like installation, and then the piece, you never actually got to see the actual piece except by viewing it through a hole in the wall. So there was this door, elaborate door, and you looked in through the hole, and you would see this setup, and it was images from the Black Dahlia murder. So you had this woman's body who, rather than being like this object to be admired and looked at, was this object which was dead, but also it was like a mannequin, right? And this elaborate setup. And so the idea is for the audience to understand their voyeurism. And so Robert Morris is responding to that, and also responding to things like the boxes that are inside the Jasper Johns piece, thinking of the body as target, only Robert Morris is heterosexual, and he's sort of asserting the male identity in a way. Okay. This is Jasper Johns' numbers. So there's a series of numbers that are painted and repainted and drawn, and this is in connection to McCarthyism and spy codes, and sort of referring to, again, the same sort of themes that Jasper Johns deals with. So this is Robert Gober's Two Urinals. Clearly this is referencing Duchamp's fountain. It's also something that, through the presence of two urinals, associates the presence of two men together in sort of an intimate way. And these particular urinals, which is maybe not clear from the picture, but which is true, they have not got any place for the urine to go, so there's no, like, these are not functional, right? This is Marcel Duchamp's Boîte en Volie. I apologize, Casey. At any rate, these are miniatures of Duchamp's works, and there are different variations of these. Again, in this case, Duchamp is thinking of the artist as being like a traveling salesman. This talks about his displacement during World War II from Europe to America. It talks about his the commodification of artwork. It talks about, so this is like a case of samples. And this is the portent of the artist as a young mandate. This is Ed Reinhardt. It's a satirical cartoon, which is about the art world. There's a lot of detail to this work. So Reinhardt had strong communist sympathies and is sort of critical of the art world during this time and sort of the direction that it had gone, and sort of this really sort of pro-manifest destiny sort of Western expanse of some of the field painting that was happening in art in the United States. So that's an important thing to say, is that you need to think about the fact that there's action painting, which deals with sort of the action of the doing painting, which is like de Kooning and Jackson Pollock, but then you have color field painting like Barnett Newman and Mark Rothko, which is sort of this open expanse that we're talking about. So this again is Robert Morris, and this is an installation inside, I think it's the MoMA. But at any rate, this is a case of art becoming one with its environment. It's an installation rather than being a sculpture, and so it sort of marries the idea of sculpture and architecture. This is Sol LeWitt's Ink and Graphite on Paper, and this represents an interest in pushing systems to its limits, as it says in the slide. And is about the importance of drawing. So drawing is an activity that is thought of in relationship to journals. If you think about Leonardo da Vinci, his great works are considered to be his paintings, and yet he has this plethora of drawings and investigations that happen inside his journal, which are clearly the bulk of the work of his life. And have come more important over time. But so this was important in that aspect. And if you think about the fact that Sol LeWitt's, so there are then prints that are made from these that are the edition series. So in one sense, there's an idea about minimalism, which is interested in the grid and reproducibility, that this deals with sort of the physical presence of an actual grid, and in the process of drawing, and then through the process of printmaking becomes replicatable like the grid. So one painting is one square in what can be an ever-expanding and ever-continuing grid, which deals with mass production. So this is, again, this is also minimalist, 144 Magnesium Square from 1969. This is Carl Andre. I mean, just thinking of this in relation to the materials of the series, and they're not really intervened with, they're shown in their sort of raw state, and then the grid, I mean, this could expand forever, but there's a certain limitation that's put on to it by the artist, but sort of combining some of the ideas of Duchamp's sort of using fountain as a manufactured object and then laying it out in a way that, as it's defined, makes it into an installation piece. This is Ascension 2 by Eva Hesse, also minimalist. It is steel and vinyl. So this is in reaction to Donald Judd's boxes, and Donald Judd's boxes are sort of masculine, and they're mass-produced, and they're very smooth and very absent of any sort of emotion, which Donald Judd looked at as being emotive pieces being feminine. And Eva Hesse is reacting to that. She's put inside the interior of the box a material that makes you want to touch the inside, and that's very tactile and has a very different feel than Judd's boxes. And it deals with sort of a lot of the associations that are made with Hesse deal with the idea of body. This is Blaze 1 by Bridget Riley. Bridget Riley was an op art artist, which is short for optical art. The idea being that optical artists are interested in optics.